Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of Movie Combat. This is episode 4. No, it's not. It's not episode 4. We're talking about episode 4. It's all over the place because
So
the Rogue One.
Ryan.
See, I labeled it episode 4. It's not. Don't check your dial. Don't check whatever we're at here. This is like what this sixth episode now. 7. What are we at? I don't know. You know what it is. We're already having a great start. Joining me on this movie journey is...
This is Nate.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about...
Still here?
Yep.
I've told you guys don't know what that means.
We're stuck in the saga of Star Wars right now, and well, I wouldn't say stuck because we've gotten a couple good movies since Clone Wars was kind of a ways away now, so as of now, we've kind of hit kind of this like mid-tier level of Star Wars movies. Would you agree?
Yeah. We're pretty much all consistently good at this point. Yep.
Because last episode we talked about Rogue One, the episode before that was Solo, and then obviously the prequels were before those. So now we have hit into the original saga. We are talking about episode 4. A New Hope, Star Wars: A New Hope. Nate,
very original.
What was your overall take of it? When was the last time you saw this movie? I guess. Do you remember when the last time? Or has it's been a minute.
Fully, it's been a minute.
Okay.
It's one of those movies I catch like a lot of times, like TNT or AMC will play like a marathon or something, and I'll catch like various scenes. But it's probably been since I've been, really probably a kid since I've seen the whole thing beginning to end.
Yeah, I've seen this kind of off and on, and I was telling you off video about how the fact that this is probably one of the ones I've seen the most, just because it's obviously the first Star Wars movie that was ever made. So I've seen it probably in a number of times when I was a kid. I just don't know it was the movie I was watching. But yeah, it's I mean, it's a great movie, solid movie, obviously. A great Star Wars movie. But
yeah, as a kid it was my least favorite. So I just never...
Now, as before, I don't want to give your rating away, but how do you feel about that now? Is it still your least favorite, or are you gonna save that?
I wouldn't say least.
Okay.
I guess we'll say it at the end of exactly where it falls.
Okay. Well, let's kick things off with going through our PT stats of where I timed the opening crawl. We officially got a crawl again. We've been 2 movies without one. So the opening crawl was 1 minute and 23 seconds and 92 milliseconds, which would put it at the longest crawl so far. By
a lot?
Well, okay. So episode 2 was the second place with 1 minute 19.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we're sitting at here.
I guess it kind of makes sense because this is the one they would have had to probably establish the most information.
Yeah.
Off the bat, but I guess we'll find out 5 or 6 or the sequel trilogy if it gets beat.
I have a bad feeling about this. Was said twice, and by Luke. Luke was the first one. You actually had said something about Luke being the first one to say it. Yeah,
because I always thought it was that phrase was tied to Han. But apparently Luke was the first one to say it.
Yeah, and then later on in the episode, obviously, he does say it. So, lightsaber moments. There are 4 of those. So,
actually more than I would have thought, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't really think of Star Wars to have that many lightsaber moments in the first film. I mean, you can't think of them unless you have the Jedi battle between, you have the lightsaber battle between Vader and Obi-Wan, and then you have Luke pulls it out twice. And I think I can't remember the.
I mean, most of it's not very impactful, but either the training sequence, is that the one
the training sequence
thinking of? Yeah.
Remember, we count any time the lightsaber is unsheathed. So anytime it goes, once that counts as a moment. Jedi mind trick was used once because Obi-Wan uses the Jedi mind trick on the Stormtroopers, the very famous scene. These are not the droids you were looking for. There are 3 space battles. And actually, most of this movie takes place in space. So,
yep. Yeah, there was only, we should probably get to, but only a couple planets.
R2 coming in clutch, that happened twice because we counted him having the Death Star plans was him. I mean, he was on a mission, but he was, he clutched it. But then also saving them from the trash compactor. That was our other situation.
Mm-hmm.
Lightspeed was hit twice. But then moving into planets, we were only on 2 planets because most of the movie takes place on the Death Star. So, yeah. What are those 2 planets? Do you remember them?
Tatooine and Yavin 4.
Mm-hmm. Because Alderaan, they didn't go to Alderaan. They were out. They were on planetary circling them. So
Alderaan.
Alderaan. See, okay, so Nate and I realized we must be pronouncing these names wrong for the 25 years we've been alive because they pronounce things so not the way that anyone else says it. Like Alderaan. Right. What was another one they did?
Wasn't it Leia's name?
Yeah, Leia. Some dude says Leia in the movie. Oh my god.
But all I can think is that they just maybe they didn't do a very good script read together, so they had other people were pronouncing it differently when they were filming. I
guess, but yeah, some dude says Leia. It's when they're in the whole getting debriefed and all that stuff.
The Rogue One guy.
Yeah, the Rogue One guy. I survived Rogue One. Yeah, that was weird. I sense a disturbance in the Force I said a quarter at the time.
Oh, is this when we had to do partial points?
Yeah, and also
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, so I sense a disturbance in the Force was, I think Vader says it. He says, "I sense a disturbance," and then he just ends it.
Yeah, when he sends to Luke hiding on the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm. And then Jedi powers were used 5 times. That does not include the Jedi mind trick. There's just 5 different times Jedi mind powers are used. Or Jedi powers are used. Whether that be dark side or light side. So. And May the Force be with you is said 4 times. I gave them credit. There are 2 times that they partially say it, but I was tired of giving decimals out, so I just gave it to them.
Rounded it up.
Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. Is there anything you wanna talk about specifically about any of those stats?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Nothing else really stands out.
Okay.
I guess the planet one's surprising. I would have thought it'd been probably a couple more, like on if it was a trivia question.
Mm-hmm. Or whether you were talking about how if it was trivia night and someone asked who's the first person to say I have a bad feeling about this, you would say Han Solo, but it's not. So.
Yeah, I definitely would have got that one for sure.
All right, well, let's
his line.
Yeah, let's head over to the IMDb corner here. Let's see here. We're gonna head into my favorite part of the episodes, where it is taglines. Taglines are a phrase or a couple of words or a word in general that will represent the movie and pretty much is put on the movie posters and things like that. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And Nate, I'm going to give you a little bit of time because you have the next segment, which is going to be trivia. So if you want to look that up right now while I'm doing this, here we go. Number 1 for taglines. It's back. The Force will be with you for 3 weeks only. That was the 1979 reissue poster because this movie was released so many times. And I'm sure we might get some of those in the trivia, but man, I think my dad even said he saw this movie in theaters multiple times. May the Force be with you. 1 year old today. Star Wars Happy Birthday poster. Can you imagine that a movie was in theaters long enough to get a birthday? That's just wild to me. The Force will be with you. That is the re-release. And now we got a couple ones, I guess, that were during the initiation of it. Somewhere in space, there could be...
Oh my gosh.
Okay, somewhere in space, this could all be happening right now. But then they say, well, how can that be used? Because they say in the movie during the crawl in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be happening right now.
Interesting.
But I guess the original is back. That was the 1982 reissue, and then remember the movie came out in '77. So
released before 6. It sounds like.
Yeah. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, which was during the initial release, and coming to your galaxy this summer. That was the teaser poster. So, but that is all the taglines I got. Nate, why don't you give us some cool trivia?
Okay.
And let's do 5. We got time.
So first one I got here is. Stunt doubles were not used for the scene where Luke and Leia swing to safety. Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill performed the stunt, shooting it in just one take.
Wow, they did a pretty good job.
Scene, right?
It was pretty good. It called back to Obi-Wan's dumb freaking like thing he did when he was facing off against Jango Fett. I don't know how.
Oh yeah, when he swings to safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Earl Jones and, hopefully I pronounced this correctly, David Prowse, who play the voice and body of Darth Vader respectively, never met.
Huh. I didn't think they ever meet. I didn't know that part. All right, give me another one.
Let's see. Harrison Ford did not learn his lines for the intercom conversation in the cell block so that it would sound spontaneous.
He did a pretty good job ad-libbing that. That was pretty good. I do. That's one of my favorite scenes where he's like, "How are you?" And then he's like, "Oh, boring conversation anyway. All right, anyway, let's go."
And then he shoots it.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. What do we got?
Interesting. This one's right below it, but it seems... So the lightsaber sound effect is a combination of the hum of an idling 35mm movie projector and the feedback generated by passing a stripped microphone cable by a television.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting.
At first, when I saw stripped, I thought it was tripped.
Oh.
Like, okay, so they got that when you trip over a cable.
All right.
Let's see.
And the last one.
2 more.
You want to do 2 more? We'll do 6. We got, yeah. Go ahead. 2 more. So
apparently, it was the first movie to make over $300 million.
That's crazy to even think that $300 million was a lot, and now you got like Avengers.
Now that could be considered a flop.
Yeah, that would be a giant flop. You wouldn't get your money back.
Right.
That's insane. Over $300 million, and now it's like, oh yeah, now they're just making $100 million. Or not 100 million, but like $1 billion fucking movie now. I don't know. It's like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else we got? Last one.
Deciding between 2 different ones here.
Read them both. Let's go both.
So Mark.
I'm learning a lot here.
I know, right? Some interesting ones. Mark Hamill held his breath for so long during the trash compactor scene that he broke a blood vessel in his face. Subsequent shots are shot from only one side.
Huh.
He's always hurting himself.
Wow. He's always hurting himself.
And the other one I was looking at was, so on the first day of filming in the deserts of Tunisia, the country experienced its first major rainstorm in 50 years.
Oh, wow.
So just bad luck on that one.
Yeah, and there's no rain in that whole entire movie.
Yeah.
So
I guess he just had to wait a day.
Yeah.
I thought it was all filmed in the U.S. for some reason, but apparently not.
All right, so now let's head over to quotes. I'll do 4 of these, I guess. Here we go. This is Han Solo. Everything under control, situation normal. What's wrong? We had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? We're sending a squad up. Negative. We had a reactor leak here now. Give us a few minutes to lock it down. Large leak, very dangerous. Who is this? What's your operating number? Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we gotta get out. We're gonna have company. Yeah. It is one of the best lines of the whole thing.
All
Uh,
improvised, apparently.
yeah, all improvised. Um, let's see here. Stormtrooper. Let me see your identification card. Ben Kenobi, with a small wave of his hand. You don't need to see his identification code. We don't need to see his identification code. There aren't these aren't the droids you were looking for. These aren't the droids we were looking for. He can go about his business. You can go about your business. Move along. Move along. Move along. um, man, Princess Leia like goes in on this.
She's always roasting people.
Um, this one's a little long, but okay. This is Princess Leia. General Kenobi, years ago you say, oh, this is the hologram. You served my father in the Clone Wars. How he now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most deep. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Pause. Ben Kenobi to Luke. You must learn the ways of the Force. If you're to come with me to Alderaan. Alderaan? I'm not going to Alderaan. I've got to go home. I've got to get home. It's late. I'm in for it. I'm in for it as it is. I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. You're getting too old for this sort of thing. Look, I can't get involved. I've got work to do. And it's not that I like the Empire. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's all such a long way from here. That's your uncle talking. And then that's it. And then, okay, I'll do this last one here. Han Solo. Wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her. That was a reference to when they were blasting the chute down the garbage chute, and Leia had sassed off to him.
Yeah, she just takes control of everything.
Yeah. All right. Nate, what is some tech specs? Throw us out some cool tech stuff that happened in this movie.
So this is a bit of more of an interesting one since it was re-released a couple times. So even got a couple different run times. So originally it was 2 hours and 1 minute, and then when they redid the special edition in I'm assuming this is 97 based on the other years I'm seeing, it was added 4 minutes to 2 hours and 5. I think most of that extra was that Jabba the Hutt scene. I think
where they superimposed a digital Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and some of those space scenes, I think they added like some extra, just like CGI X-wings just flying. Transitions. Audio, it was so this is kind of, I guess, before like Dolby Digital was mainstream. So it was just 70mm 6-track.
Wow.
And then they had Dolby Stereo, not Dolby Surround, and DTS Stereo. And then 97, it finally got the Dolby Digital treatment. And Atmos as well. And I'm assuming that was last year.
Probably for Disney Plus and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, because when we look at the digital intermediate here, they have now digital intermediate 4K, and that was for the 2019 remaster.
Yep.
Dolby Vision.
Yep. The only way that you could watch them for a long time was on Disney Plus in 4K. I think now you can buy them in 4K, but But for a couple months from late 2019, to early 2020, it was exclusively. Anything else?
Nope. That's I do find it interesting that they were using these Reflex cameras. It's not the same one they still use in the current films.
Yeah, because
same brand.
Yeah, a lot of the so JJ chose to use the same exact cameras so that the 7 and 9
Yeah,
would look the same.
like consistent.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Johnson changed it. He went to a different millimeter format.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so to keep it consistently with how the original films looked. But yeah, so I guess it goes into our reviews. The thing about this movie is it's obviously the first Star Wars movie, so it's clearly this is the one we source everything on. It has to. We have to, when at least for me, when I have to, like when we went back and did the MovieKombat season 1, when we were talking about all of the Alien movies and the Predator movies, you have to look at the original movie because if it wasn't for that movie, there would not be the sequels, and obviously it has to have the right source material, and then the sequels either build off of that or it just they're not good movies. So when you, for example, Predator was by far the best Predator movie because all the other ones just couldn't compete against the original Predator. Unlike Alien, where Aliens was obviously the better movie, Ridley Scott doing no, Ridley Scott did the first one, and this was James Cameron. James Cameron came in, did Aliens, and it just knocked the first one down a peg because that's just a great movie. Like, it's consistently, it takes all the source material and it builds off of it. So now we have to look at this is the first movie. So we have to think, was this movie as good, and does it still hold up to being as good as everyone has said that A New Hope is? You know, so like I don't know.
How good it is in their mind, kind of. Like how they remembered it.
Mm-hmm. So
I
mean,
think it definitely holds up. I don't think it's probably as good as it was when people originally saw it in '77. Being having like no competition and being the the first time you've seen it, and not having seen the characters before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like when there were moments in that movie that I'm just thinking to myself as it was kind of happening that I'm like, I can't even imagine what it was like to sit in that movie theater and look at the screen and see these giant, obviously they're miniatures, but on screen there are these giant spaceships moving and like pulling out the X-wing and like doing this whole thing, and then they're all grouped up together and flying through space and battling the Death Star. Like, the movie
was awesome.
Yeah, it would have blew my mind of just like, and obviously it blew everyone's mind. There was nothing like it. A lot of people have now made their movies sort of connecting to Star Wars, well, like heavily inspired by Star Wars now with a lot of space movies. So I know what was there some things that stood out in this movie that just make it just one of the best.
See, that's the thing for me is I was thinking about, I think that's what it's missing. Is now that we know the story, to me there's no moments where I'm just like watching the movie like, oh wow, I can't wait for the scene to happen. Like I don't think it really has any of those, and that's probably because of the limited technology they had then. And like the lightsaber fight being kind of limited. But I mean, I guess the standout, I mean, I would have to say it's the Obi-Wan and Vader scene. Even though it's probably the weakest lightsaber battle in the franchise, but it has the most weight probably as any of the scenes in the film.
Especially now that shows, well, like the original trilogy or not the original trilogy, the prequels and the Clone Wars series has kind of like allowed it to build up a little bit more, and when that battle happens, it is a big deal.
Right. You have the backstory to his character now.
Yeah,
but kind of sad because he's it's not quite the fight from 3.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, that is the thing is like when you watch Star Wars, and we were getting towards the end of it last night, I even said to you, I was like, this movie could be over. Like, it doesn't need to continue on.
Oh, after the ceremony?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is Star Wars. But of apparently later commentary, and I don't even know what documentary I was watching, but George even said, like, he originally wrote 4, 5, and 6 all at one time. He just was... The point of episode 1 was to help pay for episode 2 and then or for this case for episode 5, for and then you'd get episode 6 as kind of the wrap up and the
Yeah.
ending of the saga or the trilogy. And then later he wanted to make 1, 2, and 3. So it is interesting to kind of see it that way. But when you look at Star Wars, like Star Wars is a solid space movie. Like it's just you don't need to watch another one if you just watch that one. So.
Yeah, which makes sense because you would never know if it's gonna be successful, if you're gonna be able to make a sequel or not. So you have to kind of wrap it up cleanly at the end.
Now let's we did watch Rogue One before this, and you had said this is the first time you actually saw Rogue One before you watched A New Hope. How did that make you feel? Since we're all kind of coming off of that,
I think it does enhance it, especially the first scenes of the movie. Once you get to the middle of it, it kind of wears off. That I think you kind of forget that the newer stuff is connected, and then you get kind of wrapped up into the new characters of the original trilogy. But yeah, I thought they did a great job in Rogue One, making it like a seamless transition. With the costumes and the ship design. I mean, it's practically identical.
Yeah. No, they did a great job with that. And this is the second time now that I have kind of done this whole, you watch Rogue One and then go into episode 4. And I think that of any of the newer films to watch, like Rogue One obviously is connecting into A New Hope, makes it both the movies I think very supportive of one another and altogether good. So
enhances both of them, I think.
Yeah,
it puts even more weight on the final act with the they take down the Death Star, because then it kind of
it doesn't seem like it just is there.
It validates what happened in Rogue One, like their sacrifice. It was like worth it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it just kind of, oh yeah, they just have these plans now. Because like that was the thing when you read that opening crawl, it's this whole like, it's weird because it immediately starts talking about the Death Star and the Emperor and like who are all these people, like
right in the middle.
And that's the thing, they mention, like, did they mention the Emperor or did they mention the Empire? I can't remember.
I think they just say Empire, but I thought you were saying Emperor is in the opening crawl.
That's what I thought too. Maybe I misread it, because that's what I'm saying is like they imply so many things that you should just oh yeah, but then when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, this is the first movie. Like why do I know all that? Like I don't know what any of this means. Death Star
probably made it even better for people, first time seeing it at 77. They're like, they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, because like they just name drop Death Star, they name drop Darth Vader, they name Princess Leia, like, or Alderaan or somebody. They just start name dropping.
No backstory.
Yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I guess. But like as people obviously in 2020, it gets a little bit more of like, oh yeah, we already know all that stuff. But especially coming off of Rogue One. But yeah, it was definitely very interesting. Okay, let's start pulling numbers out. What you want to go first or you want me?
I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So I kind of changed the rating like last minute here. I rated it ahead of time. So I ended up giving it an 8.2.
Okay.
I slightly put it ahead of Solo.
Do you want me to remind the audience of what's going on with the rest of the ratings here?
Sure.
All right. So before we go into that, Rogue One sitting at number 1 at a 9. You have Episode 3 at 8.2. You have Solo sitting at 7.9. You have Episode 1 sitting at 7.3, and Episode 2 sitting in last place with a 6.7. So go ahead, Nate.
What was the overall score for Solo again?
Solo was 7.9.
7.9. Okay, so basically right where, yeah.
Yeah, those are all the Primal Target scores. We have individual scores. You'll get it in a second.
Yeah. So I originally I was gonna rate the same. I was like, it's about an 8. I was thinking about it. But then of course I was thinking, and then I was like, oh, Solo really this movie has way more meaning than Solo. Where I think we were talking about, like Solo is not a necessary movie to watch,
Mm-hmm.
if you were watching all of them. So that's why I felt it was should be slightly nudge that one out there. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a very solid movie. I thought it was fun, like Solo is also. But just yeah, not quite enough. I guess big moments compared to I think the rest of the franchise, which is a lot. Most of it's not their fault based on the technology they had back then. And I think, of course, knowing all the characters ahead of time kind of hurts. Uh, Kind of the weight of getting introduced to them because I kind of already know who they all are, so that
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a big thing for me. Um, so yeah, 8.2.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go with an 8.7, just because the reason why I go 8.7, and for those that don't know our scale, an 8.7 would be a marvelous movie. A 9 is a must-have, desired movie or whatever. I honestly think that if you had the original cut of Episode 4,
But talk about that part.
yeah, if you have the original cut of Episode 4, it is it's totally worth, like, I would say it's a must-have. The digital enhancements that Lucas decided he wanted to fucking do, it doesn't work. It, like, there are so many times that sucks you out, and every year that passes by, it makes it 1,000 times worse. Because then you're just like, dude, that's so bad. Like, the whole beginning, you know what I'm talking about, this the Tatooine thing when they're
Yes,
going to the Mos Eisley, and it's just, oh,
it's
bad
terrible.
bad CGI after bad CGI. And at a moment you're starting to realize, like, Lucas was literally just adding these in just because he could flex on people saying that he could do that. The Jabba scene looks worse and worse every time I see it. It just gets bad. It's like it's
4K, look, it enhances it even worse too.
yeah, in 4K it like I mean, we did watch it in 4K, but it was like it just, yeah, there's just moments that just don't make it. So I think the original cut, which I do have on VHS, I don't know if it's the 99 release, but it might be. I have to go and check. If you have those, I would say it would go to a 9, but I have to dock it a lot of points because it doesn't look good nowadays. There are some this whole overall story is really good, and it definitely, like, beat to beat goes on. But I definitely think where Episode 4 kind of, like, there was some slow moments, it kind of, like, it could get boring after a while. Like, as much as I love, do not get me wrong, A New Hope is a great movie. Obviously, we gave it totaled out Nate's score with mine. It will be an 8.5 for the official Primal Target score. Don't get us wrong. That is in the top echelon of movies, and definitely something you should at least own. But if you don't own it, it's at least something you should have watched or have watched multiple times over. It's just one of those movies that you need to see a couple times. And where its faults aren't really, it's kind of how I look at Apple, where I've kind of, like, I've talked with Ashton about this, and I've talked with you, Nate, about this, where it's like Apple has so many things that are minor that aren't really that big a deal when it comes to their phones, but it's now starting to add up to make it kind of annoying. That's kind of how A New Hope is, where there are just little things that happen in the movie that are just very nitpicky of, like, what are we doing here? Like, how did we get here? Oh yeah, we're just moving along. Like, the story moves, but sometimes it kind of jitters on itself, and then it kind of slugs itself into another thing. But there are moments that are great. Obviously, the trash compactor scene is fantastic. Meeting Han is another great scene. The interactions between characters, the chemistry between all three of our protagonists are amazing. Like, Luke, Han, and Leia are by far the best characters of threes in all of cinema. But it's, there's just little moments that happen that you're kind of like, oh, okay. Now, I will say I did laugh a lot more at the droids this time, because now that I'm kind of like watched it as, like, oh, I've seen this movie a couple times, I can focus on the little
things.
yeah, the little B characters here. And they're just interaction. There's little subtleties that they added to R2D2 that make him very much of a personality. And his interactions with C-3PO are great. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna give it just a little shy before a 9 because I don't think it's better than Rogue One, and I know that's a cardinal sin that a lot of people probably hate because how can you give a sequel or something that is building into the next movie like
Yeah.
a higher score? I just feel like it just, as a modern day viewer,
It's hard, yeah.
it's really hard to look back at episode 4. Now, episode 5, I might be totally different. Like, there might be moments where I'm just like, oh yeah, I love this movie or whatever. But like,
Right.
episode 4 is definitely that kickoff point. Like, here is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. And then everyone else, like all the other movies, just took it and ran with it. Like, to me, I look at this kind of like how I did with Alien back in season 1. I think it's one of the best movies out there. And it's a really good sci-fi, but it's not the best. Yeah, I don't think it's the best.
It's a solid kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Solid foundation.
Yeah. So how are you feeling with an 8.5 being the Primal Target official score?
It seems about right. Now, what's the Primal Target official score for 3 that you had again?
It is an 8.2. So that means
okay.
Yeah. So
you went low on that one then.
On 3, I gave it a 7.8.
Okay.
So I knocked it down pretty far.
Way to go,
But I think a lot of people will be happy knowing that we did rank 4 above 3. So at least we won't get stoned to death on that.
In IGN's poll, though, I believe 3 was the most popular.
Oh, really?
I think it was 3, and then I think Rogue One was like number 2.
Wow. All right, so
5 was up there too. I can't remember exactly.
Which one? 5?
5 was really, yeah. Of course, that's really solid one.
So our total scores right now, sitting at number 6 in dead last, is episode 2 with a 6.7.
Okay.
At number 5 is episode 1 with a 7.3. At number 4, we have Solo with a 7.9. At number 3, we have episode 3, sitting in at an 8.2. At number 2, we have episode 4 with an 8.5. And at number 1, Rogue One still sits at the top with a 9. I'm wondering if it will ever topple. What are your predictions?
We'll see.
We're halfway through. What are your predictions here?
I mean, if it's gonna get B, I think it's gonna be the next film. There are some ones in the sequel trilogy I do regard pretty highly. But then we'll have to see how yours averages out with them. But I could definitely see Rogue One. It's a good chance to get in second place. I don't know about first. I don't want to say first place.
That would be interesting because remember, this whole thing, we don't challenge the other seasons. Like, we might come back to like a champion, Big Brother style championship all-star season, but for right now, these movies are only competing with each other. We're trying to find the best Star Wars movie, and I just think Rogue One is just a really good Star Wars movie. It doesn't, So even though it may not have been the original, it's still really good.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of the like our main characters from the rest of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. We do get some cameos and then the very end, but yes, for the most part.
That will be a shocker if the one with none of the main characters.
That would be interesting. That would be. Yeah, we didn't even give Solo that high of regard. It just goes into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is our homework? What are we supposed to do now?
The episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm. It regarded as the best Star Wars movie, so we're going to see if that truly does hold up. But yeah, that's going to be it. We finished in 40 minutes or so. And
we're getting better.
Yeah, I tried a different way of formatting this whole thing. So I think this is a solid way of how we're going to do our episodes. Anyway, comment section is open for you guys on what you guys would have gave episode 4. How do you feel about us giving episode 4 an 8.5? I know it might have been higher. We're grading on a pretty hard scale, especially since we're going in the order that we're going in, but I think this is an interesting way of doing it, and I think it's it's different. So but yeah, so watch episode 5 and Empire Strikes Back. Be back with us next week, and we will be talking about that. For everything Primal Target, go to primaltarget.com. You can follow me at Ryan Emore personally on all social media. Nate, you want to plug anything?
My room is like 2 doors down.
There you go.
That's where you'll find me.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Good night, everybody.